Do it, Chris Rock. Do it. Do it. Cut your hand off. Yes, do it. It's gonna be great. Do it. I might be a little messed up. I was wanting him to cut his hand off. I guess I wanted Carrie always to cut his foot off in the original Saw movie, so. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I just wrote Spiral. I didn't write the whole thing, Spiral, from the Book of Saw. I know, I'm being lazy. I know. It's hot in here, okay, with all these lights I got going on here. I'm schwitzing like a Schwitzer. That doesn't sound right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mr. Teach Film Preach. And if you learn from films as much as I do, then you are in the right place. And if you're in the right place, click like down below and subscribe. And please comment, did you guys like this movie Spiral from the Book of Saw? Was this kind of the top of the franchise for you, for the Saw franchise? Or is this more scraping the bottom of the barrel? I would love to know your thoughts and comments down below, and join me in that conversation. Anticipating this movie for a while now, and it wasn't coming out in Canada yet. Goddamn, Canada never gets anything that the States has. It's brutal.
Ontario sucks. Ontario sucks.
It finally came out, we had access to it, and I watched it. So let's talk about it. Today we are talking about the 2021 horror film Spiral from the Book of Saw. New chapter in the Saw franchise that takes place years after Jigsaw and all that stuff in this city where this detective Zeke is being haunted by this new serial killer who has very similar killings to the style of Jigsaw. And so this mystery begins to unravel as Zeke dives deeper and deeper into the past, and he finds himself at the center of this new serial killer, Spiral, who seems to be getting off on this sick justice of killing cops and giving their own sense of justice, which is sort of along the same lines of the Jigsaw killer. And Detective Zeke has to take on a young rookie as he is being forced to have a partner because he doesn't play well with others and can't trust the department, figure out what are all these killings about. The voice of Jigsaw is so iconic in the horror genre and just in film cinema, and they changed it a little bit for this film, which actually I did like and I think makes a lot of sense. It wasn't just an exact copycat of Jigsaw.
Hello, Detective Banks. Do you know where your officers are?
Really appreciated the return to form of focusing on the police investigation, of the police who are involved with this, how it affects them, how they're an integral part of the story. It reminded me of the first Saw movie. This actually ended up being a pretty decent addition to the Saw franchise without it being a direct Saw sequel. They added a lot of humor in this movie, or more humor than the other films. It still wasn't like a laugh out loud comedy. But there were some parts where I did laugh pretty hard, and that was mainly because of Chris Rock, his delivery, his lines that he says. Chris Rock is one of my favorite comedians just of all time. I think he's amazing.
If you don't pipe down, I'm gonna yank your sack off like a paper towel.
And so it was great to see him kind of take on a different role. I actually did believe him as a detective. I thought he did a great job. There were a few things with his performance that I wasn't the biggest fan of, and it was mostly in his facial expressions. There were times where, like, I wasn't sure if they were going for comedy or for horror, or a little bit of both, or neither. And I was a little confused because he would be in such a serious situation, like a life and death situation, but his face, he'd be like, "What are you doing with your face there, Chris Rock?" I wasn't quite sure sometimes on the comedy aspect, and it stood out just a little bit. But overall, I still enjoyed Chris Rock in this role. Max Minghella does a great job as the rookie cop. Samuel L. Jackson plays Zeke's father in the film, which was really great to see Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson on screen going back and forth and having that relationship. I thought was awesome. Some of the gory traps and situations that the Spiral serial killer makes these victims go through. The jaw clenching, eyes closing, eeriness of the first kind of 3 Saw movies. I felt after Saw 3, they really went more for disgust than they did for thrills and chills. Like in Saw 4, 5, and 6, and I don't know, whatever they're at now, they all just are really gross, it feels, and just not executed the greatest. The first movie, Saw, is the best in the franchise. I probably would put Saw 2 next to the original Saw, and then after that, this is where I would put Spiral as probably number 3. It was more about the investigation into this killer, and instead of just about the traps and being the gross, disgusting gore. This movie was directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. It's one of those two. And he had directed Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Repo, the generic opera. So he has a certain style and flair that he kind of has throughout all those films. It's actually probably better than it's ever been out of all those films. So you can see him like progressively getting better as a filmmaker. Also was hoping though that he would have maybe changed a little bit of certain things that wouldn't have made who is Spiral or the reveal or the twist so obvious. This was the biggest problem I had with this film. Was I unfortunately predicted in the first 10-11 minutes what was going to happen, what the twist was going to be, who it was going to be, what the sort of background was, why certain characters had these motivations. I kind of pieced it together. And even when the movie tried really hard to distract us or pull our attention away from the twist, and I kept going, no, it's going to be this person and this is going to happen, I was right. And I enjoy being right when I guess films. But when it came to this movie, I didn't feel intelligent about it. I kind of felt like, yeah, everyone can kind of figure it out, actually. If you're paying attention and just watching the film, you'll get it. You'll guess it. And it's a little too obvious. So that to me pulls down the film a lot. Big twist happens near the end of the third act, and you're supposed to be like, what? Whoa! I just didn't get that at all. A little bit too many hints. There's specifically 2 lines of dialogue that I was like, held onto the curtain and not let so much truth shine through in some scenes and some dialogue. I think this film would have had a better payoff with the twist in the end. You know what it kind of reminded me of was like watching the film Lucky Number 11. I remember I saw that film with my buddy Chad years ago and into the theater. I turned to him in the first 15 minutes. I went, this person is working with this person. This is what's going to happen. And he turned to me and he said, if you're right, I'm going to punch you in the shoulder as hard as I can. And he did. But that's what it sort of felt like. And then when the actual reveal came, I was like, And just, it didn't pay off enough. And that to me really brought Lucky Number 11 down. And it to me, for this same instance, happened for Spiral. And that's too bad because I felt like they had a good story. It was a great return to form. Another thing about this film that I wasn't the biggest fan of was some of the editing stuff. They do it all the time in the Saw movies where they do these like fast chain cuts and whenever it's the horror things, and it's very tiresome. The other thing was the look of this film at times I felt was so saturated, especially the shots during the daytime. Orange saturated look to this film, and I just didn't like it. I don't know what else to say about it. I just wasn't a fan of it. I know it's a weird thing to pick on, but it's such a visual medium. Some of the lighting stuff I just didn't agree with. Hello there. I can't do his voice. So overall, it is an entertaining film, and there are some aspects of this film that I thought were very good and that they worked well. And then I found at times the stuff that didn't work really fell flat and pulled the film down from where it potentially could have been. I might have placed this film at about like a B+ or an A- even if it was just executed with the small details a little bit better. But unfortunately, with that and some of the editing stuff and the way that the film looked at times and kind of overall twist and reveal of it all, it didn't quite work for me, powerful enough for me to give it a total positive review. But it's not a bad film. It's not Saw 7. Overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give Spiral from the Book of Saw a C+. So what did you guys think about Spiral from the Book of Saw? Did you enjoy this? I would love to hear your comments down below. And what is your favorite Saw film from the entire franchise? So let me know in your comments down below. And while you're down there, click that like button and subscribe. That would be beautiful. Mwah. And I would love it. Thank you so much. Come back and check out some more films that I've reviewed recently, like Wrath of Man, Army of the Dead, or check out my playlist of the Oscar-nominated films that I've recently done. Thank you for joining me today. I hope everyone is having a great day and enjoying this hot, beautiful summer weather. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and as always, let's get taught.